Let me apologize for that little glitch there. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty, but sorry about that. But we'll continue our discussion. And as I was saying, you're at a party. You went because you didn't want to disappoint your host or your relative or your boss. And just to recap, you go there early, you make sure your stomach is filled, you get a glass that is yours, you make sure that you have a drink in it so you won't be harassed by others, to take a drink. And you pour your own drinks from bottles. You don't ask anybody to bring a drink for you. If a drink is served to you, sometimes they serve drink for toast and so on at weddings. Um, you make sure you smell it or you ask if there's alcohol in there. And you for Christmas, you especially have to be careful with drinks that are flavored with bitters, which has alcohol, or wine that has traces of alcohol, or shandy or other drinks like that with small amounts. Because for an alcoholic with a chemical dependence, a drop of rum in a barrel of water is too much. Because you see, dependence is not only physical, it is also psychological. And when you decide to stop drinking, you have made a bond with yourself and God that you are going to stay away from this. To this extent, I suggest to people in the initial stage of recovery to get rid of alcohol from the house. I don't personally keep any alcohol in my house. And no matter what occasions I have, I don't serve alcohol. And I felt good. We used to have a president of this country, Mr. Hassan Ali, who had all his state banquets and all of that and never served alcohol. These are people who really set a good example. So, because if the alcoholic is praying and asking God to help him stay sober, how can you, in all good conscience, take alcohol and serve it to someone else? So, it is a bond you're creating. So, you don't want to take alcohol in any form. So, again, having satisfied your requirement, you ask to be excused and you leave the party. Because as soon as people start getting drunk, they can, sometimes alcoholics, they gang up and they try to make you the butt of their conversation, so that you stay away. Now, for people in the early stages of recovery, it is suggested that at around this time, you make sure you go to your meetings, your AA meetings, your NA meetings, your temples, your church. So you stay away from people, places, and situations where alcohol is available and where people are drinking. You avoid those and you go to places where you get support. Especially the meetings are critical at this time. So that to this extent, I know in my community where I live, Felicity, uh, we have every year we have what is called a marathon meeting. And as I say this, it's held at the Felicity Hindu School. This would be the 26th year that this marathon meeting, it's Alcathon, we call it marathon as well. It starts on Christmas morning, goes for the whole of Christmas Day, and all through Christmas night until Boxing morning. So that because the reason for this is that we know that a lot of people around this time, the people in the household are drinking, they're having a good time, friends are visiting, family members who have a few drinks, will encourage them to drink, and they will feel lonely and left out. That is what this program was about this morning. So that instead of doing that, you come to the meeting. You spend the day with sober people. There will be a lot of activities. I know, it is very entertaining. There's music, there's Christmas goodies, there's food, there's fish broth sometimes. They make sandwiches, cake. There's a whole lot of food and soft drinks and water and all of that. But there are AA meetings, and you'd find people from all over Trinidad and Tobago, and even visitors from abroad. They come to that meeting on Christmas morning. It starts at 8 o'clock, and the meeting is divided into panels where for every 2 hours, a different group hosts the meeting. You'll have groups, AA groups from all over Trinidad will be coming there with panels. That is, their groups will be visiting. They take the chair, they conduct the meeting for 2 hours. So you get a fresh perspective from people from all over Trinidad, all ethnicities, all social standing. Professionals who have become alcoholics are also there. And the meeting runs all day. I mean, you don't have to stay all day. People come and leave when they want, because I know it's Christmas Day. A lot of people have relatives coming home and they would like to spend time with them. But anytime you feel uncomfortable, you feel depressed, you feel anxious, you feel like you're getting the urge to take a drink, you should be in the marathon meeting. You should be in the AA meeting. And to this extent, I want to thank the Sanatan Dharma Mahasabha and Mr. Vijay Maharaj in particular. And in this case, our principal, I spoke with him this morning about the meeting. He said that we had the approval to again conduct the meeting, but of course, with the approval comes the responsibility. So AA members who are attending need to understand that, look, the Mahasabha has provided all these schools, almost wherever in Trinidad, there's a Mahasabha school. The Sanatan Dharma Mahasabha has allowed the Alcoholics Anonymous Fellowship to hold meetings there. But sometimes alcoholics need to be a little more responsible. You get this facility to use for free, no rent. Abroad, people have to pay rent for the buildings. The Mahasabha gives us this facility free of charge. But we have to be very careful how we keep the premises. It must be clean, no smoking. When you leave the place, you make sure you leave it clean. You obey the instructions of the security guards. They're there to protect the property. There's no smoking on the compound, which is good for you and good for the compound, and is against the law as well. So that these rules must be observed if you want to keep the facility and to make it comfortable and safe for everyone. People need to be mindful that when you go to a meeting, you stay in that area of the school that is permitted for the meeting, not be wandering all over, because there are classrooms with teachers and their books and the way they have the classroom laid out. They don't want it to be disrupted, because in the holidays, school starts again. So I want to thank the Mahasabha. I want to thank this radio and television station as well for providing this free airtime as a public service for not only the Hindu community, but the entire world, the entire Trinidad and Tobago community. And I know people of every ethnic origin follows this program. I get questions, I get comments, I get compliments as well from a lot of people for the content of this program. So I want to thank the operators, Mr. Ramdani in particular, for sourcing these videos this morning and presenting them to us. Very, very useful. And to remind our listeners that, it's a little bit early, but it's never too early to start taking care of yourself. And to let you know, if you have a drinking or drug problem, there's no shame in admitting that you have a problem. You can call the number on your screen, 671-3040, at the end of the program. And if you have any questions, you can ask. If you have a desire to stop drinking, you can talk to me and I can advise you on that. If there are groups out there who would like me to come and speak to their congregations in temple or church or communities or schools on this subject matter, I look forward to those things so that we can get the message out. The desire here is not to drive the world. This program is not about preventing people from having a drink and enjoying themselves. Because almost 90% of the world population are people who could take a drink and enjoy it. They are social drinkers. And not because of 10% of them cannot handle a drink, the others should not, they should not be allowed to have a good time. So alcoholics in recovery need to understand that. And a lot of the problems that a person in recovery experiences you need to recognize that you created a lot of these problems yourself. The mistrust that exists in your family were caused by you. The anger and resentment the community has for alcoholics were caused by alcoholics. Yes, yes, because of a lack of understanding, but alcoholics did not behave well with their relatives. They did not behave well with their community. But I want the community to understand they did not behave well because they were sick people. But that is not a free pass. It doesn't mean because you're sick, you can behave in any way and people will just accept that. No. And this is why in recovery, at some point, alcoholics and drug addicts have to make amends. One of the ways to make amends is not only to say you're sorry, but to actually behave like you're sorry. And one of the ways to behave like you're sorry is not to go back and drink. So I know we had started to speak about relapses. I would want to continue that conversation maybe in the next program. How to prevent relapses generally. Now, just before we close, there's things called slips and there's relapse. A slip is like, okay, somebody pour a little drink you didn't know in your glass and you sip it and you drank it, but that doesn't give you a license to continue to know and get drunk. That was a slip. It was a mistake. A full-blown relapse is when now, okay, you sipped it, you know it's alcohol, you go ahead to continue to drink now and get drunk. That is a full-blown relapse. And I want to let a lot of people know that yes, in this disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful, and sometimes relapse is part of recovery. So we will continue that conversation next Thursday. And for now, I want to thank all of you who are listening and to remember that this program will be posted again on radio and TV Jagriti at 10 p.m. tonight. It will be posted on YouTube and Facebook. So those of you who want to follow through with it, you can, or give a link to someone who you believe might benefit. So thank you again and see you next week, Thursday.